order the special meeting on Wednesday, August sixth, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening and also those that are joining us online. We'll go into item number 2. It's the acceptance of Mayor Milton Kohler's retirement.
I so move. Second.
Okay. A motion was made by Councilman Wilson and seconded by Councilman Scardino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3 is discussion and appointment of the mayor's position, which will be, this position will be held until May of 2026.
I'd like to speak to that.
I was fixing it. Open it up to the council people. Okay, you may go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. This is Carlton Tucker. I'm place 4. First of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Kohler for a decade plus of faithful service. I think we owe him a debt of gratitude. I think most of you probably know that I've dedicated most of my adult life to serving in the public schools of Texas, and that has been a joy of my life. It's really a mission. It's not a job, which makes it, I guess, more precious than I can say. I've also had the honor of serving on this council for a year, which has been rewarding, but it's also been challenging, maybe more so than I expected, but still a joyful thing. With that in mind, I do want to continue my service, but I would like to serve as your mayor, if that is the decision of the council. And my efforts would really be devoted to really just one agenda. And that agenda would be to positively promote Weimar in every single setting that I can find myself in, to make sure that we base our decisions and actions founded on the core values that have made Weimar what it is, why you want to live here, and why you want to rear your children here. Why we would like to see grandchildren come back and rear their children here. You know, this is an exceptional place in every way. That's why we've chosen it. So my commitment to you would be that every effort, at every turn, I will do what I can to make sure that Weimar remains exceptional and a place that we can rear families and be happy to call home.
Thank you. Any other councilman have any appointed person? Anybody? Doesn't have to be on the council. Can be any of those out there. Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and appoint Carlton Tucker as the mayor, for the mayor's position, and that will take place. There is a 6-day waiting period before he is sworn in. So his duties will start next Thursday at our regular council meeting.
Thank you for that. I'll do my best to make sure that I honor Weimar and all of you.
All right, if someone will make a motion in a second.
Make a motion, we appoint Carlton Tucker as mayor.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Scardino and seconded by Councilman Christian. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion, our appointment passes. All right, our next item is discussion and approval of ordinance amending code of ordinances, adding Article 12.09 golf carts, neighborhood electric vehicles, and other types. Sorry, I'll back up to council, to item agenda number 4, discussion and appointment of a new council member.
Mayor Pro Temp, I'd like to.
We cannot appoint a council member to his position until next week.
Next Thursday.
It'll be next Thursday.
So we will put it on next week's agenda again, but he has to vacate his position by taking the oath to the mayor's position. So,
This will,
I didn't know that before we had, sorry.
Well, we live and learn, don't we?
So
I
we
knew
have,
there was that
we
waiting.
having another meeting next week?
Next Thursday is our regular council meeting.
Regular Monday.
It's our regular meeting next Thursday.
Because we cannot get enough entertainment right
We will be back next Thursday, and then item number 4 will come back on, and that will appoint a new council member to place 4. Sorry, I just jumped in the hole. All right, now we'll go to item number 5. It's discussion and approval of ordinance amending code of ordinance, adding article 12.09, golf carts, neighborhood electric vehicles, and other types of recreational off-highway vehicles. John?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, council. Thank you, citizens, for being here. I'm gonna recommend tabling this item until the regular scheduled meeting next week. The police chief is in training this week. He can't be here to give the presentation on this. Although it's almost completely finished and ready to go, there may be some people that have questions either in the audience or on the council that need addressing for clarification. He offered to be here by phone, but I don't know how a phone would work with a microphone and back out on the YouTube channel. So we're just gonna request for the council to make a motion to either table this or let the action item die for lack of a motion. That way it'll automatically be reset to next, yes.
I spent a bunch of time looking at the law and reviewing it. I'm happy to answer any questions. In other words, I took Josh's and updated it to the current codes, and, he's made a presentation on it. I'm happy to move forward if somebody has questions in the audience, or if you guys have questions.
Okay.
The version that's in the packet is my red line, and it cleans up what Josh had taken, I forget, he had taken another ordinance, which makes sense, we do that a lot, but the ordinance he had taken was out of date as to some references and some definitions, and so all I did was clean it up. It works, it does what I understand the council wants, which is, to get these things licensed at the county, and to have the seatbelts, headlights, et cetera, and all of that is in there. And so, if anyone has questions on what it is, I'm happy to answer them. If you guys wanna wait, thanks Josh, that's fine too, you're not gonna hurt my feelings, but as long as y'all are all here, if you wanna ask questions and vote on it, we can.
Thank you, Bo. With the city attorney's recommendation, we could move forward on this item if the council so chooses. If any questions from the council, the audience will be answered by the city attorney.
Well, Bo, I wanna clarify, an ATV and a UTV, are they the same?
No, there's a very narrow difference. An ATV is narrower than 50 inches, a UTV is wider than 50 inches. And so we don't allow ATVs on the street. And in terms of UTVs, those are going to be addressed by whether or not there's a farm use or slow-moving vehicle. What we do address is low-speed vehicles, neighborhood electric vehicles, which I don't think we have any, and then we have golf carts. And so we do address where they can operate, how they can operate, things like that.
This doesn't pertain to a UTV vehicle being registered and all that. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people have liability if they're driving it on the roadways and stuff, but.
Well, a UTV under the state law is called a registered off-road vehicle, and that is governed in this.
Okay, okay,
So, and those are required, they're actually, the technical term is a recreational off-highway vehicle. And those are required to have, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna have to have the equipment that's required by the Transportation Code 551A-071, which is headlamps, tail lamps, reflectors, mirrors, and parking brake. And so that's why I deleted them from that specifically being mentioned in the ordinance, because they're referenced in the Transportation Code.
so they have to be.
But what we added, it has to be registered through Colorado County, and children under 8 must be restrained by a seatbelt or a parent. Now, I will say on that, I remember that discussion, and that was added by Josh. Just a commentary, I think, holding a child and thinking that you're going to continue to hold it when you hit something is not realistic. You know, I know you certainly are well aware of that. I mean, we've all seen, you know, the videos where you know, if you're gonna be holding a kid and you hit someone, that kid's flying out of your arms. This has what council told Josh they wanted in the ordinance, and so you guys can talk about that, how you want that worded. Right now, it says seatbelt or restraint. The reality is probably then that you won't see any seatbelts, and everyone will just say, well, I'm holding. And
Wasn't that part of the state requirements, if I remember correctly, because it was under a golf cart, it did stated something along the lines of, it just had to be being held, the kid had to be held, I feel like, of sorts, so it said something
It
like
was
that.
City of Shiner, we had done some research, City of Shiner.
Oh, that's where it was, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, you can argue both sides.
Correct.
No one has been injured yet. You know, if someone gets injured, and because they're just being held by a parent, you know, ultimately, that's a personal responsibility thing, I think. If that's how you choose to parent, I don't have to agree with it, but it's a free country. You're not holding my kid when you drive down the street, you're holding your kid.
There is on page 5 of 11, there's a couple typos under 4 and 5.
Yeah.
But I think other than that, I mean, everything else.
I corrected some of them on the original, I caught them when I was going through, but Josh had changed some, did some.
So the way this is worded, that a golf cart, ATV, or all highway recreational vehicle, everything would have to have a license plate, correct?
Everything that's gonna be operating on the public roadways, yes.
And that registration, takes place in Colorado County, which takes the burden off the city as far as registration.
At the Colorado County Clerk's office.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
To my
County.
knowledge, I think you just take your insurance and driver's license, and, or at least for golf carts and ATVs, you get your license plate, and it's done, you never have to renew it.
Is everybody good with that? Wanna move forward?
You golf cart people, and you're comfortable with that? I'm a bicycle person.
That'll be the next.
That's
That'll be the
it,
next.
okay.
I'll get a seatbelt today.
I definitely think, and this is something we can ask Josh, I guess, next week, but some kind of grace period with the police department, maybe, before they start writing tickets on stuff like this, you know, let's give people the benefit of the doubt.
Make sure they're well informed.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the police have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Generally, the current makeup of the officers, right, you know, we're about education, not tickets.
I agree.
We have a pretty exceptional police department.
They're good.
All right, this is an approval item. I have a motion. Hearing no,
I make a motion, we approve the ordinance adding golf carts, neighborhood electric vehicles, and other types of recreational highway vehicles. Or adopt the code for those.
I'll second that.
all right, I have a motion by Councilman Scardino and seconded by Councilman Christian. It is open for more discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We'll move to agenda item number 6. It's discussion and update on status of sewer storage ponds. Don?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, council and citizens. This update is on the sewage storage ponds, or lagoons as they call them, on the east end of town. We did have our numbers going basically out of control with bacteria and so forth, and it was due in part between myself and Evan, our Type A Waterworks wastewater license holder, that the portalet dumping people that were dumping almost 100,000 gallons a week into those ponds were overloading the bacteria that was there, and the aeration systems trying to keep up. It was too great a strain on it, and the numbers were beginning to soar. And so before we got TCEQ involved, I realized that the contract with that dumping company was expired by 3 months, so I told them no more dumping. The numbers have stabilized, we're watching it, it'll take a while for them to come back down just due to the sheer volume. We still have a few smaller dumpers in there, but there may be 20,000 gallons a week, not nearly over 100,000. So that's the storage, or that's the update on those storage ponds.
Are we still looking to getting that cleaned out?
Right.
We're not having to.
Well, it's coming. We're watching it right now. We're gonna see if we can slow down the accumulation of the sludge. But David and I have both looked at a company that treats it with, nanobubbles, air injection down into the sludge itself, and it reactivates the bacteria, and it gives the anaerobic, or the aerobic system time to get up and start functioning better. And we've also looked at, dredging of the ponds, which is quite expensive. We're waiting to see how the numbers go and just make sure which action we take, because quite honestly, it's a lot of money that we're gonna have to spend on this. And nowhere, getting the revenue off them dumping that amount in there, nowhere offsets the cost of having to maintain these ponds. We are looking at the possibility of possibly opening 2 more lagoons through TCEQ, which is a special permitting requirement, but we will make application as necessary to make sure that we have the necessary capacities to handle the city sewage.
Do we have any idea on the cost to bring those other lagoons online?
Not at this time.
Do you think this additional aeration and reduction in volume will hold us for a while, Don?
I do.
Any idea what that timeline might look like?
I don't have that with me right now, but I can talk to Evan. He's the license holder. He could give me the numbers, and I could distribute that through a memo to you guys.
I do remember us talking in the past about additional lagoons, cleaning out what we have. But I think even then, the cost was, overwhelming, actually. But, you know, we'll have to do what we have to do, but see what we can do in the interim to address that.
Well, we can also look for state grants, Texas Water Development Board, things like that, and try to get one for a sewage treatment plant. Just actually get rid of the lagoons altogether and get a sewage treatment plant going. It'd be in the neighborhood of, as I recall the last time I talked with someone, between $5 and $8 million, but if it's a grant, it's free money.
It's worth pursuing.
Okay, I'll make a note to look into that.
Anyone else with discussion on that item?
Yes, I'm done. Oh,
Can I
yes.
ask a question on that? Was the sewage treatment plant theoretical, like a theoretical thing y'all are going to add on to it, or is that something that y'all do have in the works as a plan?
We do not have it in the works. It was just a thought that we could do that. I mean, if it's gonna cost $5 million to clean our lagoons and bring the other 2 lagoons on board, because they do have a lot of debris, they're gonna have to have the trees removed out of it, they're gonna have to be recut and regraded, new liners put in. All that's gonna be a large amount of cost to bring these, even to bring these other 2 online, in addition to having these existing ones dredged. Then, if we look at just getting rid of that and bringing on a sewage disposal plant through a grant, if it's about the same cost or just a little bit off, where we may only have to put in $1 million or less, then I would recommend doing the sewage treatment plant, because it will process it a lot better.
A reasonable option.
Thank you for the question.
Anyone else have any questions for Don on that? All right, we will move to agenda item number 7, discussion and update on water line replacement. Don?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. In your packet, there's something in your packet, but there's also, something, a handout that I have, item number 7. We've been watching the area down near Bartolute, where we did some of the water repairs, connecting the dead ends into a loop. And the 3 houses that were there that had the largest number of complaints almost weekly have disappeared off the list. These here are, up to the north and northwest that you see here today. And we're working in that area right now off of the Seifert Loop, and we're going along Franklin Drive here. I'm bringing, David was working with a contractor, we're bringing that contractor on board and gonna have him do the area up around Franklin Drive, or Franklin Street. And we're just gonna double up on that. You granted us the money to do that, so we're gonna bring on a contractor, maybe 2 contractors, to start sealing up these dead ends with loops to keep the water moving continuously. And we're adding flush valves, for instance, up on North Center Street at the Seifert Loop. We have one line going out to a house that's at the county, just outside our city limits, we're serving them with water. That line goes out there, could be a dead end because they wouldn't use enough water to be held by that 2-inch line with their 1-inch line as they use it. So we're gonna have a flush valve installed there. We're gonna install flush valves everywhere that we can after we get these loops in, so it makes it easier. I put in a call to, David, you guys know him as Butler, and I'm gonna talk to him about getting the fire department to flush some of the fire hydrants as we're going along. Speaking of fire hydrants, David has identified a fire hydrant over by the church that is, damaged and no longer operational. That fire hydrant came in today, we're gonna get that installed at some point in the near future. We're working on that.
Is that St. Michael's?
Yes, St. Michael's Church. Apologies. Also in your packet, you're gonna find a notice from Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, otherwise known as. On June 6th, Bridget Garza and Christina Bernal of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality came down on 3 complaints for dirty water. They looked at our water wells, they looked at our water treatment plants, and they went out into the field where the complaints were, and they took samples, and they did flushings, they checked everything out, and the reports are here and on the first page and on the very back page. The alleged violations were noted and resolved. They didn't really find anything, and where's that sheet that says it? I was kind of proud of that. I'm proud to state that in this, somewhere it mentions that the city of Weimar has a superior water system.
Yes.
And yes, there's merit recognition as a superior system. You don't get that with a barely meeting the code water system. We are superior. We do have problems. We do have dirty water that pops up now and then. We get these dead ends out of the way. It'll be tremendously better. And also, I have a card here from Kevin. I have trouble with his name. Foxtinger. He's a resident in the 78962 zip code, but he works at the city of Columbus. He's the public works supervisor, and he runs these big water treatment filters that we've looked at. It is as big as, they pulled down on a semi. It is huge. It handles up to 1,100 gallons a minute, only when the demand is there, but it filters the water out. I'm gonna invite Kevin to come speak to you guys next meeting, and I'm gonna ask him to bring some samples. I'm giving him some just regular water bottles. When David and I were there looking at it, he got a water sample before the filter, and you could see particulate matter floating around in the water. I mean, large pieces. If you would have drank it, you would have probably coughed a little bit as it went down your throat. But when it came out of the filter, crystal clear, no odor, and it was just pure water. It's done with the sand and gravel filters. It seems to be working really well.
Any of that grant that we got for that water well, could that fund some of that for us? Or we don't have any funds left over on that?
Not really. The way when we were talking with this about Bradley, or with Bradley, we either get the water well or risk it and put in a filtration system, but he's not sure it would actually transfer over to the filtration system. Is that correct, David?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to submit a change for it.
Which lengthen the time of getting the well in and the repairs.
So are we still working with Bevco on a broader fix? You know, whether
Yes.
possibly either going out to the voters or if we're able to handle it in-house?
Yes, I have sent a copy of the same map that I showed here in the council meeting of all the dead ends on it. I pointed out to Chad, the engineer that I sent that to, that there's a lot of galvanized, there's a lot of cast iron, there's a lot of copper, there's some asphalt cement piping underground. And we want it taken out and we want it replaced. So give us the engineering on it, give us a cost for the engineering, and have a contractor look at it and give us a cost on what it would cost to get that done, and then we'll address it from that point. We're waiting on them now. I think that email went out late last week.
And then that $200,000 budget amendment that we did for those dead ends, is that, do we know how many dead ends that we'll be able to fix now that we're bringing in contractors? Or is that gonna take care of half of them, or is it gonna be quite a bit more that we're gonna need to spend on that?
Well, on the smaller things like Water Loop and Seifert Loop, it was between $10, I believe, and $14,000 just in materials. But that doesn't include the contractors, the mobilization fees, the, employee salaries and things of that nature. So it will reduce the number that we can address, and we're gonna address the most critical areas at this point, the one with the highest number of complaints. But complaints will continue to come in. I caution the council on that. We are handling it. We're working that way. We've got a tremendous, as you can see from this list, it used to be 4 or 5 pages long. We're doing a lot just with flushing. Keep the water, the dirty water flushed out, and it's not a long-term fix, but it's a fix right now. But until we get all this stuff taken care of. There's also, I was talking with Lowell, Ogle with LCRA, pardon me. And he has, knowledge, because he was in Public Works and in the city field as well. He has knowledge of flush valves that are automatic. You can program them when they come on and go off. He mentioned something about 2:30 in the morning. I said, anything that's mechanical can fail. We don't want water coming on at 2:30 and running all night. I said, we'll do it during the working hours when we're here. And that way, if people see it, they can call us to have somebody to talk to as well. Covered Water Loop, open claims, continued flushing. That's all I have for, item number 7 there, for the council. Yes.
Really appreciate these updates, Don. It kind of keeps us aware of what kind of progress we're making toward that final resolution, whatever that is. Hopefully, we can reach that point. We're piecemealing it now, which is imperative to address the immediate needs of that comprehensive plan that we talked about. We know what that might cost so that we can understand ourselves as a council, make a decision, and then if it requires a bond, or whatever it might be, certificates of obligation, and, for a bond, for sure, we put out to the people, and they can decide what they choose. Whatever that is would be the right answer.
Correct.
Does Betco have any kind of timeline on when they would have anything to us to look at?
I haven't heard that back, but it took them like 2 weeks to get the contract back to us for the generator installation at Water Treatment Plant 1. So this is much more complicated than that, though. They have the entire city map, and there's a lot of, I sent them a PDF of it so they can scroll in with their screens and see what pipes need to be replaced and so forth, so.
Don, in light of all of this, would you, please keep us updated, at least maybe on a monthly basis, as, where we are, what's the next steps, and where we're headed?
Yes, I'll certainly do that.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to agenda item number 8, discussion and update on all open positions. Don?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, general public, thank you all for being here. I am glad to announce that the Public Works Director position that was open has been accepted by a gentleman. He's in Tennessee, but he has a Texas license. He's lived here before. He does have his Texas water and wastewater licenses. And he's very knowledgeable. He's running a plant right now that's very similar to ours. It also has lagoons. It has well and surface water, which we don't have the surface water reservoir, so that's something that he won't have to deal with as much. And he's very employee-oriented. He believes in training his people. One of the reasons he's not going to be here until September 15th is his succession planning includes getting some of his people in place so that when he leaves them, it won't be like just up and leave. He's got people that can do certain things. He's got his wastewater guy. He's probably going to assign them as manager positions until their next director comes on board.
What is his name?
Randall Jones.
Yep.
That's familiar.
Okay, and, the regional building inspector position, that's on the interlocal agreement with, Schulenburg and ourselves, he will be housed here out of this, the city. He will also bear the full initial cost of everything of him, but we will bill Schulenburg monthly for their half of the charges, and all those aspects of it. I know I apologize to David, that's a bookkeeping nightmare, but we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna get to there and, make it work. But he will also be here, since he's coming in from Wyoming, he has to, also target September 15th, middle of September, before he could get here. We're getting a good man on this one, he's almost as certified as I am. He's, probably the easiest to be trained, because in other states, not every state has a Texas licensed plumbing inspector requirement. He's been doing plumbing inspections for 10 years, so he knows his business. I'll just have to oversee him very little, make sure he knows what he's talking about, making the calls he makes, and then he'll be able to test within probably 90 to 180 days. He already has his plumbing inspector certifications, and he has the experience. Texas law still says he has to have some other things, 500 hours total. We can get him that through continuing education. He can take a 40-hour class in backflow testing and get 100 hours credit. He can take a course in residential sprinkler systems, which we don't have a requirement for that in Texas, at least through the building and the legislature process for buildings and construction. But it does come into play when there's, through the state fire marshal's office. If it gets above 6,000 square feet, they have to sprinkler their residence. So that's good to know, but I'm gonna recommend he take those two classes and get that 200 hours. If he has both his commercial and residential plumbing certifications from ICC, that'll be 400 hours. And then it's the simple fact of going out and performing inspections with me, and I'll join him on the plumbing inspections here and in Schulenburg as they come up. This guy's name is Billy Nunn. Now, the police chief position is still pending. We're meeting on that tonight in executive session. We have multiple applicants that have applied for this position. One's out in the audience, Mr. Livingston. And, I have received just today 3 additional calls from other applicants. Now, they are outside the current residency requirements, and I told them, I said, I can tell you everything about the job except what happens at tonight's meeting. That's gonna be up to you guys, so. One of them was east of Luling. I can't think of the name of that town right now. I'm from a foreign area, so. Or Central Texas. Yeah, I believe it was. And the other guy, he didn't say where he was from specifically, but they're both definitely interested in the position, and they would move to Weimar, but they are reluctant about inside the city limits, but they would definitely move to the Weimar zip code. One is, he and his wife are now empty nesters. Their son's starting college near here. I would think, it's a state college.
Texas State?
Texas State, yes, that college there. That's where we're at with the pending positions for the police chief. I don't know that there's any others. We have several positions in public works that we have, applications for, 3 introduced tomorrow, and I think 1 Friday for those positions.
Don, are you finding in any of these other positions, policemen themselves or any other positions that our salary structure is not what it should be in terms of attracting the type of client or personnel that we would like? And if so, we'd like to adjust that so that we're more than competitive, yes. And we'd like to offer a better salary structure than the folks that are north, south, east, and west of us, if at all possible, so that we are attracting the best, and that they feel like the salary structure that we have in place suggests that.
Okay, There's a couple of things that go along with that. We will have to perform another salary survey of police officers at various levels, beat officers or patrol officers or investigators, sergeant, lieutenant, all the way up. We're gonna discuss police tonight, but we can look at that. Danny, can you help me out? When was the last survey performed, do you know?
I don't know, but
She doesn't-
I was probably done under,
About 3 years ago.
yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if Richard did any comparison on police department, I'm sure the Chief Jameson was handling that.
Okay, I didn't hear all of that, but I don't think there was a comparison done, but I'll have to take a survey, have to probably get Danny's help in getting a survey on the police officer salaries for the area, geographically speaking, and get that information back to you guys where we're at on the chart. I can just put that on the chart in your packet, look it over, if you have any questions, you can ask me that.
And, you know, we might expand that to other positions that we're trying to build, workers, public service, whatever. We want to be very competitive, attract the best.
Absolutely. We had done performed some discussion like that, and I believe Kyle was saying, if it's less than $20 an hour, they're just not gonna apply. And he was right, we went up to that amount, and all of a sudden, we got applicants, we're bringing them in, we're interviewing them.
If that's sufficient, great. I think council can probably entertain if we need to address that, be a little bit more than, just bring it to us, because we want to do what we need to do.
Okay, I'll make a note right here. Mayor Pro Tem, that's all that I have for you on the discussion and update on open positions.
All right, so we'll move on to agenda item number 9. We will be going into executive session under Texas Government Code Sections 551.074, personnel matters, update on police chief applicants. We'll be stepping up into our other office here. Y'all are welcome to stay. We do have another agenda item after we return.
What is that time?
Yeah.
Yes, 6:07.